Welcome to a brand new video of the Target Individual Program, the Target Individual Experience. So I got home last night. You guys see my previous video uploaded from yesterday. When I got on the block, you know, my upstairs neighbor, we were talking, and they always do this from time to time, where they will use a particular person, right? First, what they'll do, they'll try to they'll use these people to, if I engage in a conversation, if they know I'm talking to them, what have you, they'll eventually go to them and recruit them. So I'm talking to an upstairs neighbor, okay, and he was like he was outside with his daughter. He was telling his daughter, he's like, his daughter, this is one of the smartest people that I know, right? And I said, thank you. I said, and I was telling his daughter, I said, your father is pretty. He's a good dude. The way how he keeps his family unit intact. Which is kind of great. So we start talking about family and such, and what it is that they keep feeding black people false narratives. Okay, about he's talking about the majority of black people family are intact. I said, no, it's not. I said, no, it's not, man. Because you see, and we see this a lot amongst black women, particularly, where they use their anecdotal experience and base it as if it's the overall factual thing, right? And it's not, because if you look at the statistics, you look at the data, it tells you completely different. So then he starts talking about, oh, you can't believe this and that. There was a very interesting video that I posted on my Facebook page a long time ago, and it's on YouTube, right? It's from the Academy of Ideas. There's another website called the School of Ideas, which is kind of like this, the same thing, right? They're two different. They're two different web channels, but I think they're the same. Excuse me. So anyway, and one of the title of a video that I watched from them is called let me see if I can pull it up here. Let's see if I can pull it up. Hold on a sec. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, it's called. Actually, one is called mass psychosis. Okay, how an entire population becomes mentally ill. And another one is, do we live in a sick society? Okay, it's just the website is called the Academy Ideas, and the other one is called the School of Life. Right. So anyway, so in these videos, right, and another important video is called "How an Obsession with Safety Leads to Mental Illness and Tyranny." And then if you watch Chris Hedges, right? Chris Hedges, he's a journalist. I've known about him for years. He was in Truth Dig, since like the early 2000s. He's one of the Truth Dig was one of the sites that I would go to read about the truth, right? Not these manufactured stories created by government agencies, the CIA or the police departments, with their planted journalists within these mass media companies, right? And so Chris Hedges has a video called "How a Sick Society Creates Sick People." Okay, so all these things. So I'm talking to him, and I start to see, I've seen the programming within black women, because they're very delusional when it comes to certain things, and they use their anecdotal experience as if it's the norm with every other black man or black family, have you. But I never saw that kind of programming within a black man until last night. Okay, and though this brother had grown in terms of intellectually, we've had conversation, I gave him books and stuff like that, but I begin to see, okay, and it's a funny thing too, because we were talking, again, he asked his daughter and stuff, but his daughter kept going back and forth, and I've seen this before, so like I know, so I'm just talking, and I'm watching to see what it is that they're going to do that's different, right? So we start talking. He started mentioning about how he has this, So I asked him. I said, So he said to me, like, the majority of people in New York City are black. And I said, in New York, I said, black. I said, no, they're not. No, they're not. He's like, yes, they are, because everybody I see around me is black. I said, yeah, but you're talking about just your little bubble, okay? You know what I'm saying? So I said, let's look at the statistics. And he's like, oh, the majority of people in the majority of people in America are black. I'm like, no, they're not. I said, where are you getting these things from? Where are you getting these beliefs from? Because it's not true, And so I've seen how now their black men are being conditioned in that way also. And I'm gonna push back on these things, because when I see him, I'm gonna educate him and be like, listen, man, don't believe that stuff. Don't use your adult experience as if it's the experience of everybody else, because it's not. Everybody has different experience. Just because the people that you may know more people who have a family unit that's intact, right? It means a mother, father, and kids, right? That's a good thing. I said that is a good thing, because that means that you guys influence each other, and so you have a strong core belief about family and keeping the black family together. And I said, and that is to be commended. But the majority of black people in America, families are not in those type of family units, and that's true. They may have they may have a grandmother or a grandfather, what have you. They may have a grandmother that's taking care of them. They may have a father or a mother, but the majority of black kids in America are raised in single. When I say single household, that is headed by black women, that's the truth. Now, it does not mean that the father is not involved in the child's life. I'm talking about, do the father and the mother live in the same, or in a family, in a relationship where it's a family unit, So we just start talking about some other stuff, and I see from time that he kept looking at me, keep looking at his daughter, but it's in a very weird way. Okay, so I was like, okay, let's see what's going on here. So we started talking. So he asked me, do I have keys to let him in the building? I said, yeah, fine. So I take out my keys. He takes out his keys, and in his keys, my keys in my pants pocket. He has a key ring, a key holder, and it's a blue key holder, and he holds it. He doesn't hold the key as if he's going to open the door, but he holds the key holder with the keys in his hand, and the key holder, sticking out, right, of his hands. So I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on here. So we stand. So we go into the building. He stands. We're talking in the hallway. Then these two white couple comes in, right? And like I said, they've done this before, and they started looking at me in this weird way, right? They like that. They have like this smile on their face, but it's like it is a what is it? A sadistic smile, right? So they're talking, and like I said, I keep noticing how they, how they time stuff. So we're standing aside talking for a little bit, then it goes, and I'm saying to myself, okay, so they're using time to do what? To get me into this conversation with this individual, ask me questions, and I talk about how they always try to test your memory. Okay. Now, the things we talked about, that has already reside in my long-term memory, because these are things that I've studied for years. It's not like, and this was before, where they were targeting me so much with the remote neural monitoring, where I started to get those serious headaches where I can't remember anything. For example, when I was going to school, going to college, you know, I'm sitting there reading, I'm doing math, and if I get it wrong, I hear whoop whoop, every math problem, right? Then when I would go into the class, before I go into the classroom, they'll have the students, you know, engage in psychological harassment, and then when I get in the classroom, I won't remember anything. Okay? I've talked about this, how they do these things, and because I'm exposing it, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna bury you. You're gonna be homeless. We're gonna take away your disability, everything." Right? Because again, that's what a Coercive Persuasion Program does. Right? If you don't um, follow what it is that they want you to do, this is what they want you to do. These are the outcomes: homelessness, try to get you hooked on drugs, try to get you in a relationship where you're totally dependent on the person who is your perp and who will treat you like a slave, right? But I'm not having none of those things. Okay. So so I'm like I said, I'm watching, I'm listening such and such, and he's like, well, my wife has her master's and her bachelor's, and I said, listen, do you, but and he says, oh, well, women have degrees and all this. I said, yeah, but degrees does not mean high salary. Because guess what? The majority of black women in America earn around $35,000 a year, and that's the average. And I talk about black men. I was like, that's the average for black men is $41,000, $42,000. That's the average. That's what most black men make who are working. So then he talks about, oh, I got a friend who's a police officer. He's a sergeant, live on the next block over, or whatever. I said, but yeah, but again, you're talking about he's just one person. Then he talks about some doctor who, who used to live in a project as a child and he became a doctor. I said, but yeah, but guess what? Out of all the people in the project, you have one individual like him at the project who was raised by his mother that became a doctor. What that means is that his mother understood the importance, okay, of keeping him in check, right? I said, and on top of that, he is lucky and fortunate, but that's not the norm for the majority of black children who were living in projects. Okay, because the vast majority of those black children in the 80s who was living in the projects, in the 90s, even in the early 2000s, guess what? Have been poisoned by lead that was left in those apartments, purposely, okay, and for malicious reason. So I tell myself, so you're always going to find these 1 off or 2 off or even 10 off or 20 off individuals, right, who are able to, make a better life growing up, because again, they had strong parents or a strong mother, right, who understand that keeping them in check. And also, I said, you don't even know whether his mother, about his mother, like, was she more nurturing, was she more understanding, was she able to talk to him, to treat him in a way that that fuel his passion or his love for something. Because I tell you what, most black children have, well, all black children have creative talent. That's just the way we are as black people. Okay, black babies they learn faster as in infancy. They do things faster. Okay, it is when they become the age where they enter into the school system, whether it be public or private, you start to see a diminishing of those things. Being able to learn fast, being able to, and they know this. Dr. Amos Wilson talks about this, as well as other psychologists and other black doctors who understand this, right? Black children, when they're born, they raise their head faster. Okay, they have more focus. Okay, they walk faster. They learn to speak faster. All right, and again, those are facts, right? So we know in America, and not just in America, but globally, even in countries where you have predominantly black people ruled by black people, right? Because white supremacy is global, it is manipulative, it is technology used to control the minds of black people, okay? So you got to understand that. So so anyway, so I'm looking at this guy, all right? And again, I could tell he was obviously had a little bit to drink, you know. And like I said, I don't, even though they target me and this, I understand technology is at play, and I understand manipulation is at play, psychological manipulation. So when he starts talking about this, the police sergeant, I said, let me ask you a question, okay? I said, what do you see the majority of black police do? Or what do they have in common with the white police? You know, and I said, so how, and also how many people's on the New York City police force? I think something like 43,000, right, or 44,000, something like that. Maybe it might have went up. And I said, out of that, right? I'm taking him and his daughter. I said, out of that, what percentage of those officers are white? Right? He didn't want to guess. His daughter was like, what did she say? Something like 67, 70%. Right? I said, okay, and how many of those police officers are Hispanic? Right? I can remember exactly what she said. I said, out of those people who are Hispanic, who did they classify themselves as being, black or white? She was like, white. I said, okay, so you got to group them in with the, with the white police, non-white Hispanic police officers. I said, how many people are black? She was thinking it was like in the single, either not, was it 10%, right? So I'm like, okay, whatever. How many Asians? Okay, so you cannot tell me that the majority of police officers in New York City are black, because clearly they're not. They're not. But again, this is the narrative I see, that now black men are becoming delusional. Like I said, I'm speaking about the things I need to expose it. So this going forward, this is how they are going to be programming us as black men. And we as black men have to keep our ground and sense in reality. Okay? Because like I said, going forward, our generations of children going in the future is going to be re-enslaved. They're going to be in slavery again, without a doubt. They've told me this. Okay? And if you don't believe me, okay, just look at the statistics, look at the numbers, and then I talk with him. I talk about black wealth. He's like, dude, it's a lot of black people are working. They have 401k. I was like, really? I said, you talking about few black people who work in companies that offers 401k, and also because they make so little. What? How much money do you think they put into their 401k? Okay. I said, look at the average wealth of white families compared to black families. When I told him it was less than 10,000 with black family, he was like, no, I can't believe that. I said, it's true. It's true. See, certain things I will forget, but those things, like I said, I've been reading about these things for years and years and years. So I know I talk about how you got to keep reading to get into your long-term memory, right? But as TIs, when it comes to, as a TI, and when it comes to going to school to learn something that can change, like for example, the reason why I went back to school for computer engineering, right, is because I wanted to know, okay, these things in order to explain properly how is it that they're able to build these things. How is it so when they talk about these things don't exist, they're lying. They are lying, and they know that they are lying. And I keep telling myself, this is why they lock out black people out of the tech industry. Okay? But he's like, oh, there's a lot of black people making money in tech. I said, no, it's not a lot of black people. It's a few black people making money in tech, and guess what? It's apps, right? It's apps. It's not actually, and black people are not investing in creating computer making facilities, right? Chip making, CPU making facilities, motherboard making facilities, memory module making facilities. Black people are not doing those types of creating, okay, not investing, but creating these facilities. Okay, we're not doing it. We're not. When you look at who makes who's doing fabrication for CPUs, who's creating CPU wafers. When you look at the two big CPU designers, right, and creators, okay, AMD and Intel, right? Who creates their CPU for them? Okay, when you look at airplane companies, companies that design airplanes, where are the black companies? Because black people as a whole is locked out of tech, and those black people who have money, who should be creating these things, can't. The reason why they can't is because they are being controlled. Okay, to not think about these things, to not understand the importance of these things. Okay, so this is why they can create the technology that they do and use it on us, and then a person like me who they use it on and does the research to find out what the hell is really going on and try to expose it, right? So that we as black people can understand. They call me crazy, and you know what? That's fine. This is why I go to the sources, their own sources, when I can pull up the documents and I can show you the information from their own website. As a matter of fact, from time to time, I have to redo videos about these technologies and stuff like that. Okay, and I'm going to talk about this stuff again because I understand we have been programmed with short-term memory. I understand that. I understand how we're programmed. The method, the tactics, the technology used. Okay, I understand that. We as TIs, for the most part, understand that. Except a lot of you TIs, you're on that religious BS, which is fine. That's your belief system. Okay, but when you start posting shit on Facebook about being chosen for what? For torture? You comparing yourself to Jesus Christ? Jesus Christ never fucking exists, and they're trying to erase who you are out of the minds of the people around you. Okay, to be non-existent. Understand that. So anyway, so yeah, so they were, and then I was posting some videos about the Louisville police unit, right? And I talk about this, how they try to project who they are onto us as TIs. They try to turn us into who they are, using these technologies and using psychological manipulation and tactics, drugging, and all this stuff. Okay, and I talk about this particularly for me being a black man, with other black people, and it's like when I speak, I don't even see the seriousness in their faces, that the anger, there isn't. We are programmed to be complacent, as the Russians said, when they use this technology. The countries of the West use this technology on their citizens, and particularly us as black people, okay, not just TIs, okay, because as TIs, we're the test subjects for this, and because they feel like they implanted us and they set us up or frame us or whatever, they feel that that they own us, but you don't own me. Okay, you can make me homeless, you can label me whatever the hell you want to label me. That's fine, but I'm gonna keep speaking the truth. Okay, so anyway, the Louisville Police Department, this just came out in Vice, and shout out to Vice for doing excellent journalism, because they are news agency out there that believe in the truth, that believe in holding these people in high offices, holding these police officers accountable. And I keep saying this, in America, we as black people, the communities that we live in are test labs. They are practice grounds for the police. Okay, when they want to test out new technology that they want to use, when they want to get funding because for illegal things that they're doing, and because they can't put it on the books, they will use black people as a source of funding. They will rob from us. They will arrest us. They will fund a huge salary based of their theft of us, of their financial theft of us. And because we have been programmed with its extreme individualism, when we see it happening to other people, other black people, when it happened to us, we could care less. We can care less, because their attitude is, most of our attitude is like, well, it happening to me. Well, guess what? Eventually it will happen to you, and it's only when it happens to them, right? That's when they want to tell you about it and want to want help and stuff like that. But when it's happening to somebody else, they didn't give a damn. They didn't care. And I was telling this dude like last night, I said, if you read the book, it's called The Golden Stool. Okay, you can find the PDF version online. This is a very old book, rare book. With a a missionary, white missionary from Europe, and he talks about how the African social system of the village, and I am my brothers and sisters keeper. We are interdependent on each other. Okay, in the way how society should be. But in America, particularly within the black community, they create this mentality of separation. They separate our families, destroy most of our families, and they separate us from each other using various tactics and methods. And we keep falling for it. And what it is that they will use your children to try to, when they manipulate somebody, they will use your children to emotionally get you, because they understand that we are emotional people because of their programs, their psychological programs, their social programs. They destroy us and our families. So they understand that we are emotional people, and they will use our emotion against us. They will use our emotions, manipulate our emotions to attack each other. Okay, and you have to understand that. So if they know you love your kids, they will use your kids. They will, for those purposes. Okay, just like how they use labels. But again, as a TI, I'm telling you, these people, they try to turn us into who they are. So the Louisville Vice did a report that just came out about the Louisville Police Department, the same Louisville Police Department that had the officers that killed Breonna Taylor. Okay, and this is the same thing that's happening in Ferguson with the police departments in Ferguson. Okay, and these people will use, these cops will use fake, well, not should say fake, but they will use informants who they pay to lie, to get warrants so they can go and break into people's house, like what they do in Chicago. Okay, people who have not done anything wrong. And even if they did anything wrong, what they do is that if they find money, they'll steal the money. They'll take the money. And then they'll lie about it. Okay? There's a Vice News, go on YouTube, money and drugs kept going missing after Louisville police raid. Okay? Then, a pattern of sexual misconduct by Louisville police, in which they were using their authority, right, to manipulate, to coerce female, who they arrested, right, and as going to court. They would use their authority to get sex from these women, to say, well, we can help you out and such and blah blah blah. Okay, these sexual predators. Okay, that's who they are. The pedophiles. They're on the police department, the police force. So when they try to turn you as a TI, when they try to give that, try to make you into those things, again, it is to take the attention off of who they are. I wish Vice would do some serious investigation into the NYPD, because you will find a similar pattern with the vast majority of, particularly male police officers, particularly white male police officers and black male police officers, who've adopted the mentality of these white supremacists on the police force, who they partner with. Okay, and like I said, there's always when they ain't playing clothes and they're on an assignment, blending in with protesters, and these white police officers beat their ass. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden they want to claim racism, right? But in the meantime, when they were brutalizing young black men who look like them, okay, and at times they use, like I said, even black police officers will use young black men as a stepping stool to advance their career. This is what they've been doing. So I'm going to call them out. I don't care what the hell they do. Okay, I don't care what the hell they do. I'm going to call them out, particularly the black ones, because they should know better. And instead of standing up to these white racists, okay, they put their head down and they shut up. Meanwhile, they're destroying the lives of thousands of black men and women. Okay? So, so anyways, I was talking to this dude, and I just had to shake my head. And I came in the house. I did a video because he was talking about Christianity. He's like, he said to his daughter, "Oh, this guy, you don't like Christians and whatever." Not that I don't like Christians. I don't like their mindset. Okay? Well, I guess, yeah, I don't like Christians. I'm gonna put it like this. Yeah, I don't like Christians. Okay? Why? Because they're hypocritical, for one. They don't really believe in Christianity the way that it was supposed to be. They don't believe it. They make up the shit as they go along because, again, it is a religion that is just allegories. And instead of teaching it as allegories, they want to teach it as something that had actually happened, and that actually this person actually exists. And this is where the confusion in their minds comes from, because you cannot live by those rules. Yet the 10 Commandments, yes, you can live by those. Okay? But you're not going to live 100% by all those. Maybe the thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not, speak the law of them in vain, stuff like that. But in terms of, like, as a child, everybody speaks a white lie. Even as an adult, grew up in a society which breed narcissistic people. The society itself make you go against what you believe. So when you hear these women talk about their boss bitches, excuse me, for using that word, I don't call women that, but when this is what they say, right? And how they're independent, this and that, and how they're like, I'm a Christian woman and this and that. Yeah, but you're having children out of wedlock, right? You don't listen to the men in your family or in your relationship. Okay? The only man you want to listen to is the white supremacist living in your mind that you call Jesus Christ and God. Okay? But not understanding that it's your own mind that's telling you these things, or the technology that they've created to put this shit in your head. You talk about how you follow the but all of a sudden you want to fight against it, right? You want to become pastors and such and such. Why? When the Bible tell you what the role of women in terms of religious teachings, but you want to change it. This is why I said people should let go of these religions. Let go of them, because you cannot live by them, and that's the facts. You cannot live by them. That's the truth. All right. So yeah, I have a problem with Christians, definitely, and I will always have, because I used to be one. And I understand the insanity. And particularly when you live in a society that, you have the powers that be that manipulate shit, put drugs in the water, create psychological programs using social media. This is why the video talks about how, how the psychosis of, a mentally ill society. They want to turn us into who they are. And as TIs, particularly those in law enforcement, because we're experimentees, and law enforcement is used as a tool to manipulate, threaten, okay? They're trying to make us into who they are. Like I said, the majority of pedophiles on the police department, the majority of serial killers on the police department, the robbers, the thieves on the police department. Okay? Those who commit the most domestic violence on the police department. Facts. Can't dispute that. If you can dispute that, let me know. Put a comment in. Well, I monitor my comments, but make a video. Send me the link. All right. So yeah. So this morning again, they try to use the homeless theme. I was watching the video and the person was like, "Oh, yeah, something lead to homelessness, and you hear the police siren afterwards." I'm like, whatever. Like I said, do what you're gonna do. I can't stop you. Okay? I'm just one person. And as long as I make others aware of what you're doing, I'm gonna continue to do so. If I have the ability to do so, I'll continue to do so. Okay? So, anyway, this video's going on long enough. I gotta get out of here. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys in the next video.